Hey everyone, welcome to the Neo Marketing Podcast. Today, Pritch and I are going to explore our business trend predictions for 2019 with tons of detail. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast, a bi-weekly discussion of modern business communication. Hey Pritch, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Kyle. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Good to see you as always.
Yeah.
Today,
better to be seen than viewed. That's what I said.
That's exactly right. And today specifically, I want to jump straight into an expansion on my 2019 business trend prediction that I made back in November.
Right.
So if you guys remember correctly, in November, I said that the biggest business trend, the thing to pay attention to the most in 2019 was going to be collaborations.
Yeah.
It's businesses working together for win-win scenarios that exposes each business entity, whether it's B2B, B2C, etc., to a new or different audience in a good, great, interesting way.
Yep.
It also has to be very interesting because it's not about running commercials or running promotions. It's about doing things, activity that no one's expecting, and just creating opportunities for content and for interaction and engagement of audiences.
Yeah, and we talked about it in terms of on the public relations side, how important it is in building relationships.
Yes.
And those relationships add value to the marketing process.
Relationships are everything.
It's everything.
In 2019 and beyond. That's just
Absolutely.
how we are in the world today, especially with how connected we are with all our digital tools and communications, right?
Glad to hear you say that because that's what I've been preaching.
So it goes further, though.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about today. Collaboration ideas are easy, and you go, okay, great. So, when Burger King and A1 Steak Sauce wants to do something together,
Right.
or when Budweiser and a liquor company want to do something together, there's a bourbon Budweiser now.
Oh, wow.
Jim Beam, I think, is doing that. These are interesting. That makes sense. These are great collaborations that make sense.
Yeah.
But you have to go more than just a single one-off promotion or creating a product. You have to, first of all, look at what audience each of you are bringing to each other.
Yep.
And that has to make sense, but also get outside the box a little bit because no reason to keep talking to the same people you're already talking to, right? And you have to go further because it's not just here, drink this one time, here, buy this one time, here, visit us one time, right?
Right.
And that's where we get into the conversation about community.
Yeah.
Building community around product, services, businesses. And not just in a, we hope you come in and buy our products a lot or you become loyal to the purchase process, but real community, literally Facebook groups, engaging each other on Twitter and Instagram, people sharing content with each other, not just general retweets and things like that, but really communicating with each other about why they're engaged with your product, service, or business for their reasons, not yours.
Right.
And a majority of this is non-transactional. It's not about creating sales. It's about creating brand ambassadors and people that tell other people why they're interested in what you're doing, what draws them, and why maybe they should be involved as well.
Yeah, there's a perfect example. The Wall Street Journal on Friday had an article about Hallmark's All Christmas movies.
There you go. Yeah.
And all of the quotes were from loyal followers, and they were spouting what they liked about it. And it wasn't Hallmark shouting from the rooftop. It was consumer-generated content and comments. So great example, I think.
It is a great example. And, of course, we all know we're all paying attention to mass media less and less these days, right?
Correct.
We're not watching TV commercials. We're certainly not listening to commercials on the radio, even in the car. We're not paying attention to billboards, that's for sure. And no one's reading a newspaper, right? So advertising, traditional display advertising has less and less and less effective, right?
Right.
And now, of course, we've been living with social media for a long time, with websites, with digital channels. Remember how big deal it was to have a website back in 2000?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal anymore, right? It's expected. It's normal. Right. Even your social media.
You better have a good one,
That's
too.
That's right. And it better be helpful. Your social media presence is even expected now, right? It's the base minimum every business has to do. So now we have to go further. We have to create community. We have to create opportunities for fans or ambassadors or people who are interested in what we're doing or the topic in general, what our product audience fits into, to come together and do things together in a non-transactional way. We have to create those opportunities for them via all these tools because that's the only way, circling back to mass media being less effective,
Right.
That's the only way we're going to be able to engage an audience at all eventually.
Yep.
Because mass marketing will go the way of the dodo, for lack of a better outlook on the future.
Well, I think one of the things you said that's really key is engagement.
Yes.
Social media has been around for a long time. It's been a great tool, but very, very few people use it correctly because they forget it's not one way.
Yes.
It's two way. It's an engagement.
They forget, my definition of advertising, right, which is standing on a street corner and yelling at people.
Right.
Everyone started in social media doing that. Making posts about how great their product is, how great their service is, hire us to do this, we're better than the competition. Well, then you become a commercial and no one's
Right.
paying attention
and
to
nobody's
commercials,
paying
right?
attention. Right.
So it starts with engagement, right?
Yep.
Asking questions, creating opportunities for interaction. The second half of engagement, though, is conversion.
Right.
This is the only metrics that's worth measuring at all in business.
Right.
The only one. Take that to the bank, people. The only metrics worth looking at is conversion, because engagement is the first step, and it's great and it's awesome. First, you have to gain attention.
Right.
Then with attention, you have a conversation, you have engagement. But if you don't ever go past engagement, there's no economic value, and you have to have conversion,
Right.
or else you go out of business.
You're not meeting the business goals of the
It
organization.
doesn't matter how great of a community you build if you go out of business.
Right.
You got
That's
to pay
true.
bills.
That's true.
Now, startups and virtual businesses, they have a little bit easier time because they have less overhead, but existing businesses, literally brick and mortar, and they have employees and they pay taxes and all these things, they got to have money coming in. That's conversion, right?
Right.
So it's attention, it's engagement, it's conversion, but ultimately it's acting in a way that the audience wants you to act, and they don't want commercials. They want community engagement. The
Right.
last piece, though, and this is the thing that's most important to your audience, no matter who they are and what it is you do or what type of business you have.
Yep.
They want authenticity.
Absolutely.
Without authenticity, you're right back into trying to sell them something
Yeah.
that they may not want or need, or at a rate that they don't want it at.
Right.
But if you're coming at building your communities, at engaging them, and eventually conversion, because everything else has been authentic, it's because you're actually trying to provide value,
Right.
that you're trying to do things that are non-transactional, that you're not trying to sell, but you're trying to engage, you're trying to learn, you're trying to ask them questions, and you're trying to provide them what it is they're asking for, the way they're asking for it, then it becomes authentic.
Yeah. Authenticity is at the root of everything.
There you go. So when it goes back to how are we going to communicate in 2019, businesses, nonprofit, education, government, etc., right? Mass marketing is out. Advertising, traditional display, standing on a street corner yelling at people advertising is out. Now, the good news is PR is still in.
Yeah.
Because
It's
people are paying attention to
relationships.
ads, but it's relationships and it's informational and it's value-based content.
Right.
But community building is going to be essential for 2019. Every single client we're working with now, and any that I'm going to be trying to talk to in 2019, 2020, et cetera, the first conversation I'm going to have with them is community building.
Yeah.
And then in that process, in that conversation, I'm going to ask them if they are authentic. If they are, we'll continue the conversation about how to build a community around what they do. If it's not authentic, if they're trying to push something simply to make sales, I probably don't want to deal with them because that's going to fail.
Yeah. Gotcha. Good words of advice, sir.
There we go. So, folks, that's our advice for 2019. We really expect these things to work well for you if you do it right and authentically.
Yep.
And if you try to fake the funk, if you try to just part people from their money via traditional advertising tactics and approach,
Right.
you're probably going to fail at that.
Yep. There you go.
That's just how it goes, folks. Until next time, good luck.
Ciao.